Welcome to Pathak Gala College of Commerce and Management, Mumbai. This is Dr. D.S. Maske. I will teach you Environmental Studies, FY becomes Semester 1, Unit 2, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development. In this particular module, I will cover meaning and definition of natural resources, classification of resources, natural resources and human resources. Now, let us see first definition of natural resources. According to Professor Eric W. Zimmerman, define the natural resources as means of attaining given ends. Meaning of resources. A resource means of supplying what is needed. Resource refers to interaction between man and nature. So, resource can be defined as means of attaining given ends, or resources means of satisfying human needs, wants. For example, iron ore is one kind of resources because it is very useful for satisfying some human needs and wants. Resources is not a static but a dynamic concept. The type and use of resources that man has been using has changed considerably over time. Today, the use of number of resources is far more complex and diversified. According to Cambridge Dictionary, resources means something that a country, person, or organization has which they can use. A resource is a source of supply, support, or aid, especially one that can be readily drawn upon when needed. In the context of environmental studies, it may be extended to natural things such as water, land, minerals, energy, animals, and man made resources like money, institutions, capacity, etc., which helps us to realize the goals and the objective of our social welfare. A resource means of supplying what is needed. Resources refers to interaction between man and nature. Natural resources can be defined as substances which occurs in the nature and are found to be useful tools of the development. According to Zimmerman, resources is not just a thing or a substances, but the function that the things or substances performs in order to satisfy human needs and wants. In simple word, a resource is defined as a natural stuff or man-made product which satisfies human needs or wants directly or indirectly. The natural resources are found over the earth are immense importance. It is basically raw material for industries. The resources are vary in terms of their characteristics, availability and utility. Therefore, it becomes important for every one of us to understand the important role and different concepts about the resources. The quantity and quality of resources both are equally important and useful, such as fertile soil, thick forest cover, abundant fish life in the sea, mineral ores of high grade, etc., are quite important in the overall development of a region. The human survival on this planet has been basically due to availability of natural resources and his capacity to exploit and utilize them. The modern economies and its different functions need resources on a larger scale, both in terms of amount and variety of resources. hygiene. Now let us see classification of resources. For the scientific study, resources may be classified into the following types. On the basis of frequency of occurrence, natural resources are classified as follows. Number one, ubiquitous resources. Number two, localized resources. What is ubiquitous resources? The resources which are occurring everywhere are known as ubiquitous resources. For example, air, sunlight, soil, etc. These resources are of low value or free from nature. Now, localized resources. The resources occurring only at a few places are known as localized resources. For example, coal, natural oil, iron ore, etc. These resources are of high value and can help the economic development of the country. Now, the next point is ownership of resources. Resources can be further classified in the following three groups on the basis of their ownership. Number one, individual resources. Number two, national resources. Number three, international resources. Now let us understand first individual resources. Individual resources are also known as personal resources. These resources are exploited or utilized for the benefit of an individual or a family are called as individual resources. For example, plot of land, house, skill, knowledge, etc. Next point is national resources. The national resources which are owned collectively by the people of the particular nation are called national resources. They are used for the benefit of all the people of the nation. For example, rivers, minerals, forest, etc. Okay. Next is international resources. All material and non-material things in the world are called international resources. For example, atmosphere, sunlight, oceans, etc. Okay, now the next point is on the basis of nature of resources, there are two resources. One is organic resources, second one is inorganic resources. You can see in simple word biotic resources and abiotic resources. First of all, understand organic resources, I mean biotic resources. The most important natural resources are those consisting of living things, for example, forest, domestic and wild animals, fish, crops, etc. Okay. Now, inorganic resources or abiotic resources. These resources consist of non-living things. These resources are not having life. There is no growth or reproduction. These resources are exhausted by use while their rate of information is very slow. For example, minerals, rocks, climate, etc. Now the next resources, generation of resources. On the basis of this, I mean the basis of durability, availability and regeneration, there are two type of resources. Number one is the renewable resources. Second one is non-renewable resources. Renewable resources means those resources are continuously renewed by the natural forces. For example, air, water, etc. Non-renewable resources means those resources are once used, lost forever, and such kind of resources cannot be repeat again in the same form. That is called non-renewable resources. For example, petrol, diesel, natural gas, etc. As I told you before a minute, classification of resources on the basis of availability of regeneration. See the clear picture of natural resources and human resources. Natural resources comprises two parts: renewable resources, non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, for example, solar energy, water, air, tides, waves, etc. Non-renewable resources, for example, coal, petrol, gold, copper, silver, diesel, natural gas, etc. Next, second part is human resources. For example, population, numbers, politics, technology, capital, for example, buildings, transport, etc. Skilled, literate, illiterate, large population, small population, etc. Thank you. Thanks a lot.